maybe do a little bit of pokeberry juice and chimney soup or something that we can put on it. So yeah. But I think what was the man at Everett Cloister? I think he used pokeberry juice and chimney soup for his pretty margarita. But we don't make our own cake, so or paper for that matter. But I would be happy if we this evening continued in the vein that we were just in, of thanking God for what He's done, bringing glory to Him. I was thinking today about, so what would I like to have happen here tonight? What should be said? What do I want you to hear? And it's very closely aligned with what Randy said this morning, that our purpose is to glorify God. And I have the little opinion that what happens at Christian Life is generally organic, except by the people that are involved. And sometimes we forget that too, and we have our nose at the grindstone and forget what the Lord is doing. And I'd like to share some of that so that He gets the glory for what's happening. And that's a tone I hope you hear tonight. That would be an aim that we have. And just as far as what's here tonight, the slideshow, anything we're doing is a bit of a guinea pig run. Those people, we feel a need to connect more with churches, explain what we're doing and what's happening in Christian life. Different things are happening around the world. We haven't been doing that. And so we have a bit of a slideshow here, and then I've asked Keith, our designer, to come. He's going to be putting together a better slideshow at some point. So maybe in a few years we'll have something better for you. But we'll try to communicate what's happening in Christian life and how it's being used, how the products and services are being used. So the other reason that I'm very happy to be talking about Christian life here tonight is because of the amount of people that in the morning wake up in Spruce Draft and go to work at Christian life. So I'm happy about that. There's a lot of good people that I get to work with. I always enjoy working with people, going to church with the same people. I just think we get to learn to know each other better. So I'm happy for that. And I wasn't thinking of doing this right now, but maybe I'll just say that I think, if I'm complete, I'm missing people, but I know that Ken Miller and Ken Coughlin, now he's moved into the area. These are the people that work there. Edith Schrock, and Joyce Beachy, Sadie Schrock, Karen Sauer, Deborah Summers. So we're happy that they came here to Christian Life and arrived. That's great. Karen and Deborah, I'm so glad you're here. Jeff Lightcap, Jameson Turner, and myself. I'll take that 2 weeks up here and go to Harrisburg to work. And then there's been a lot of people that have worked here, have worked at Christian Life. Some people, until quite recently, such as Julie Lightcap, we're sad to have lost her. That's Jeff's game. So, anyway, but there's been some short-term people there over the summer. Laverne and Japheth, Joshua and Joseph and David. Ken was doing a good job of recruiting his sons on a short-term basis. That was good. And Caitlin was helping out, and then some longer-term this summer. And longer-term people was Doug. He's still working at Christian Life, lives in Pennsylvania. James Hirschberger worked there for many years. I never worked with him, but I see a few fingerprints now and then of his work in the homeschool department, as it's called then. And I learned recently that the Angie Cash that I had seen in a name at Christian Life was Angie Coughlin, who lives up here at top of the Amish Church. So anyway, my wife Karen worked there. Janelle Hirschberger was an artist. Sue Bile in the order department. Dwayne Weaver. It's possibly disputable whether he came here for Christian Life or came here for maybe somebody else, but at least the long-term impact probably says something about what was the primary reason. Charles Hopp and Steve Zimmerman and Dale Hostetler. Dale still works, maybe not full-time, but still works regularly. He's on the payroll at Christian Life. Paul and Barbara Hirschberger gave, not sure how long it was since you went over there, but they were there a while. Roberta Weiler, whatever her last name is now. Maybe I'm missing somebody. Anybody else work there that I didn't list? Anyway, we're just privileged to be there and have the amount of help we have in this area. So through some, what's happening in Christian life. We have the lights. So, you know about Christian Light, and like I said, it's very familiar. So, nothing new about the name or anything, not much introduction needed. And you probably know exactly where Christian Light is. If you haven't been there, it's on the corner of Mount Clinton Pike and Chicago Avenue. And these big buildings, and they're located in Harrisonburg. Like I said, you probably didn't need that introduction. But rather than thinking about where Christian Light's offices are located, I prefer to think about the places that it's used. Of course, that's a good many places across the U.S. and around the world. The category of sales that's growing the fastest is international sales. There's more and more places are picking it up. There's several pockets of places in the world where it's increasingly used, curriculum and other books. So we have a vision statement: strong families and growing churches spreading God's light worldwide. So that worldwide look is what we'll think about here in a little bit. Thinking about the strong families, we would like to help families be strong. We're not going to be the people doing family. We're not going to be doing much work in churches, but we're providing the resources for that. Hopefully, for them to be strong and grow in a good kind of way. The main way that will be happening is through resources for Christian education. We think that kind of underlies and supports the development of strong families and growing churches. And if that's happening, if education is truly Christian, it's going to be pointing toward Jesus. It's not just going to be a good working system, but something that's clearly pointing toward Jesus. If that's done really well, the importance of education, or finally, even families and churches, is important if we're looking at Jesus and his life. That's our passion, what we'd like to see happen at this place and with its work. Now, before we get into education, I'd like to give you a little introduction to books, materials that we provide, publish. So, children's books, family story books. Some of you have read some of these and are quite familiar with them. A variety of children's books, something to do a good bit of. And then tools for the home and early years development activity books of different kinds that we're happy for children doing worthwhile things. We're supporting that. I'd like to just point out that this little book, God's Creature System, is table in the back, and you're welcome to pick one up if you wish. And then for families, books about child training and good development. John Douglas's kind of iconic book, Christian Family Living. And others praying with children, thinking about that, and talking to them about development and sensitive matters at different ages in life. And elderly people can sometimes be forgotten by us busy folks, younger folks. We try to have some resources for them, devotional, and probably next to our curriculum, the thing of the word search puzzles is what we get the most positive feedback. People that want to keep their mind active or doing this kind of puzzle, and then finding something that's themed with words that they can ponder as they're finding them. Gives a lot of encouragement to a lot of people. Yeah. And so, quite a few copies of this. In a lot of ways, a simple publication, but one that helps a variety of ages, not just elderly folks. A class of books that deals with the subject of adoption and fostering. So, books for children, stories that they understand. Child's level or teenager level, or wrote a book on stories of God's fostered and adopted children, and then stories for families, stories about adoption, and Tanisha is a story of a young girl that struggled a lot with adoption. And then one that came out just this week, I think, What If I Stay, was written by a Haitian lady, a kind of a fictionalized true story of her life in coming to America, struggling with cultural things, and then fostering a lot of different issues in her life, and
resources. We use their summer Bible school material, so different levels of that. And then we use the children's Sunday school material. And if your opinion, children, is formed by your Sunday school material, your opinion of Christian life is formed by your Sunday school material, you might have some days that you think some of the exercises aren't the greatest, and we agree with you. So we're building a team, head of STEAM, I guess, to revise our children's and adult Sunday school material. It's actually a pretty big project. We get the 8-year cycle of the adult material and the 3-year cycle of a bunch of different levels for children's material. But I've been able to hire several people recently that are willing to work on this material. Probably a few more people from the adult than the children's at this point, but we're pretty determined to do all that and get something that seems relevant to today. So, another material we've provided English and Spanish tracts and a book by Alan Roth on becoming an evangelist in daily life. And then Mennonite Church Directory. If you're looking up where other churches are or where you're going, we have a book and an online subscription you can buy to the directory with maps and contact information and everything, an online platform. Then there's a category that I like to call unofficially when things don't go well. So there's some books here about help and stories to help understand sexual abuse. So a very difficult subject, providing materials for that. And other challenges, inferiority, and anger, similar things. So category books that hopefully reach into the difficult places in our communities. And then discipleship and devotional materials, books about direction our life is going, and encouraging whoever's studying them, good direction. The challenges we face. I think most young men would enjoy Bob Stafford's devotional book, 16 Minutes Later, and John Cousins' book, Journey to Jesus, for recent publication. And then Bible study, studying the Bible and various subjects. Again, the book by King comments on the table of that. We'll pick up a few questions. A variety of subjects, character studies, and so on. So, we just had a quick introduction to our books, what we call trade books, and that is 14% of our sales. So, a relatively small part. And then we saw in Sunday school, that's just under 10%. And a small slice of Bible school, or tracts, I think would be here, a small percentage of the book category. But 76%, most of what we do is curriculum and services. So what we're engaged in mostly is education, Christian education, and the way that that's done. So we have a view of education, an understanding of education, but it didn't start there. I'd love for Ken Kaufman to talk to us sometime about the history of Christian education. And there's stories like these Amish children running away from the authorities of the school bus that pulled into their Amish school and said they need to get on board and go to public school. Instead, they hit Barnfield. And just one of the many stories about the development of Christian education and what's considered a right today to be able to educate our own children. It's a pretty diverse story. Many different places happen different ways. But today, we're used to small schools out in the countryside where there's Anabaptist people or other church groups now that are doing that as well. And linking that freedom for education to homeschooling as well. So at Campsville, down Virginia Beach, there the church and the school is one building. We're accustomed to this. We do our own education, and we do this thoughtfully, carefully, but maybe sometimes without a lot of appreciation for the history and how it came to be. The school I taught at in Pennsylvania, it was on the grounds of the church. That's just common. So Sanford Schenck, in his college days, he was a farmer, but he went to Eastern Mennonite College. He was speaking with a professor, and he said, "Well, don't you think we should have in these schools that we're developing? Don't you think Christians should develop on curriculum?" And the professor said it's probably not possible. We'll have to deal with secular curriculum and just point out the error as we go. And Sanford remained unconvinced. And he felt that publishing was important, worthwhile. So outside of the city of Harrisonburg at that point, he built a house and started Parkview Press, a variety of printing jobs and lettered sign you'll see there at the outside the office, corner office, as we still call it. He built it with a flat concrete roof so that he could later add a second story, which was necessary at that point in the future, as well as a variety of other buildings. Next to it, parts auto repair shop, and if you've been there, you know that's you can see that it looks slightly different than our present bookstore, although a lot the same. So we talk about what it would look like to update that. But here you'll see Parkview Press sign back here, and Christian Life Publications sign here. So in 1969, Sanford and his wife and another person were the board of a brand new nonprofit, Christian Life Publications. So it's developed into a large organization with a full board and so on today. That vision was one where driven by the wish to provide curriculum, support, education. And so we, Kenneth mentioned the songbooks that we helped tonight there. That's a product of John D. Martin's work. And so is this. In 1974, John D. Martin wrote the first piece of curriculum that was published, and it was a social studies book, an important subject for Christian schools. So that was the first piece, but Sanford wished for something more. He wanted a full curriculum, but that was a challenging prospect of writing a full curriculum for Christian schools. So he talked to ACE and Alpha Omega, or AOB, and Alpha Omega was very open to working with him. So they got a truck and they went to Arizona, I think, and scanned in or took copies of the curriculum. And had equipment there to do that in the truck and brought these pieces back to Virginia to start working with. So they got a full copy of Alpha Omega curriculum. And so alongside that social studies book, they had a bunch of light units. And that's the name that he chose for that. And that was then a full curriculum with different subjects. And the what we now look at as old curriculum was a brand new product. He edited it, got a team of, I'm told, 100 people for a summer to edit this, maybe one summer, to edit the curriculum and republish it. And in 1979 and 80, this was made available to schools and began to use. And so the idea was very focused on a individualized curriculum. So it was possible for self-study as a student, and very much individualized approach. And then to train people how to use that and help schools get started, they went around and traveled around a lot and trained people how to do it. You could enroll. The full program was paid a bit for the services that were there and this kind of thing. But one of the things they did was travel around, get a motorhome, and they would just have workshops, different places, encouraging schools. So curriculum and services has been the thing with Christian Light Education for many years, and the services continue. Some of you might know some of this is Fred Miller, who have been in West Virginia, Marvin Coffin, many of us would know him, Mark Kipford, and Jacob Stahl was the driver. I think this was in the 80s somewhere, that this trip was taken. So just a bit of history. Today, those teacher workshops continue in a lot of different places. In fact, they're in progress right now. There's 2 teams that are out traveling. There was workshops, I think, on Friday, Saturday, and there will be tomorrow. Gathering some people for a one-day, and someplace in the evening, a workshop, encouraging schools. And not as much here in the East Coast, mostly Midwest into Canada, all the way west and northern parts of Canada, and into Mexico. A lot of places the workshops are held. So that services mindset continues. Here in the Russian school, Jonathan Irv speaking, for those on the West Coast. And then teacher training was another thing. In my time at Christian Life, that was mostly Elmer was taking care of that, Elmer Glick, and Mark Webb, and Nathan Yoder helps them for the classes there at Harrisonburg. But again, this happens across the U.S. And into Mexico and Canada. I think there were 600 some teachers that took the training last year. So a lot of teachers taking that 1 week training. Quite a wide reach for that. Another services at Christian Light Education Support. There's a team of 5 people, 4 in the office and 1 in Canada. They support schools and homeschools. They operate Christian Light Academy. It's presently called Homeschool Plus, and moving shortly to that name. We've been using it internationally, and we're using it locally as well. So that team is there to support, provide services for schools and homeschools. Another thing is homeschool conferences. So several a year where we have host meetings of homeschool families, find a place and have some main sessions and workshops for parents and things for children. It goes well, even if you're some smaller places outside. And just a variety of children's activities and so on. This meeting was yesterday in Harlan, Indiana. I think John Miller was telling some stories in this picture as it was taken. So this is the time of year that there's workshops and conferences happening. And then mostly in the springtime, there's homeschool conventions. So we go out with a set of curriculum to conventions. Most states would have at least one Christian homeschool convention where Christian families can come look at curriculum, take in topics. So we go and set up and offer the curriculum to homeschool families. That is decreasing as people shop more online and less in person. So the number of conventions we attend is less than half of what it used to be. Still a good bit of effort. Trained exhibitors in different places across the U.S. to go out and do that. Present the curriculum that way. And then the annual Writers and Artists Conference held in Harrisburg. There's main sessions, there's sessions on writing, article writing, editing, and so on music, and, art, painting, and design, photography, different workshops that happen with the Writers and Artists Conference. So several hundred people there. We outgrew the facilities we have a Christian Life over at College School. So if you have any interest in those kind of things, that happens in the early summer, just after school's out. We talked about worldwide, and we'd like to take a little spin, not completely around the globe, but a few places to highlight where Christian Light is active. Main one is Romania. We've heard from Martin Miller a few years ago about the work there. And there are quite a few families enrolled there. And in the north of the country, Suceava is where the office is, where they operate from and support those families, the enrolled families. At present, last week when I checked, there's 554 families and 1,500 students that are enrolled in that program. And it's a bit of a unique legal situation where if they're enrolled in a foreign school, it makes it legal to homeschool. It's not legal just to homeschool as we would be used to here. So this provides an opportunity for them that you wouldn't have otherwise. And there's a good bit of insecurity there at home. There's an education law that changed. And so there's more scrutiny on homeschooling than there had been, and we're pursuing more accreditation. I'll talk about that to hopefully meet that need. They started it in CAM's office in Suceava, their main office. Christian Light Academy people were upstairs. And over here is some remodeled collective farm barns that were used for warehouse storage. And then they were holding training events, tent outside and so on. And they are working and finishing a new office. So new office there that they're using at the moment, just finishing that out in a warehouse for the curriculum and other books that they offer. So they were glad to have some more space and be a bit more organized than they had crammed in a collective farm barn. And then this year they've had 7 one-week trainings for homeschool families. So it's growing quite rapidly. A lot of people that wish to come and come on the program. So they provide training for them to learn to use this English curriculum in a place where we're speaking Romanian, of course. So quite a challenge. These people work really hard to provide this opportunity for their children. We have a team there that's learning to do this well. It's Martin's son Timothy and Andre, Romanian, is working with the team there. Jerry Shorter teaching about learning to read and anyway, teaching about how to teach your children to read. We have to engage with materials that are there, displays that are there. And then they've done a good bit of translation work there. Of course, the Seed of Truth is translated regularly into Romanian, and there'd be a good many Christian Light stories that are reprinted, Seed of Truth, and then a variety of other Christian Light books that have been translated. They have a full translation of that in Ukraine. Of course, you hear about that most often in terms of war right now. There's been schools there for several years. Masters International Ministries is operating schools. There's people who come to their communities so that their children have a place to go to school. So again, they're teaching children to read English, the local children, when that's not their native language. If you need to know more about the challenges of that, you can ask the teacher. I'm not sure if she's here tonight, but Melina has experience in that. Taught there before teaching here. So we're glad that she's here. And then, also relevant to that area, there's a bit of translation into Russian. You might note that when there's books translated like this, for the most part, that's other organizations taking our material and translating and contributing this place. And then, heading to the South Pacific, Papua New Guinea has been a place of good bit of activity for us over the last years. And they're using the curriculum, they're printing it there. They've been printing it there for a few years. And it's just a very different culture, a very different environment from what we're used to here. So we go for teacher trainings and it's in straw huts. And usually lots of response. And there's, last I knew, there was 82 schools and over 3,000 students that are using the curriculum in Papua New Guinea. So, again, there are schools and classrooms that we're used to. So, another picture later is Jason Kaufman, that's Ken's brother, who lives in Australia. And they host, had been hosting regular educators conferences there, and haven't in the last few years, but there's a group planning to go in January again, just to visit schools and work with some challenges that have come up in the printing process, people that are running that, which are local people entirely. So again, Mark Webb, him. And that would a group at the educators conference. So in Australia, in Eastern Australia, there is where Jason Kaufman has a warehouse. Ken's brother has an office there and has had a warehouse with Christian Life material for a good few years. He's winding that out because doesn't seem to be a lot of advantage cost-wise to shipping larger amounts to him and then having it redistributed in Australia. We can ship it direct to the consumer for nearly the same price. So that is wrapping up, but he hasn't been doing the printing for Papua New Guinea customers for the last while. So he set himself up with machines there. While there's been some challenges in Papua New Guinea, we'll be working to hand that over to other people there for the next visit. And in Malaysia, close by, is another country where we've had some interesting interest. It is a very modern country. It has the world's tallest twin towers, and it's a Muslim majority country. But there's some schools there. Susu Dhamadu is Milk and Honey. It's a school. They start with kindergarten and then go to elementary, and using our curriculum there for elementary levels and through high school. And their high school now they're using another English or British program. It's a little bit less work in high school. But then there's a school out in the countryside, a little bit smaller school. Again, preschool kind of program through high school, visiting them, and just really good to hear. They're really caring about mission efforts. They're mostly Chinese people, and it was a very clear witness. Renewal Lutheran, I think the church was, and you seem to have a really vibrant kind of work that's happening there. And then close by that, Myanmar, or sometimes known as Burma, there's a school that we've had next to Canada on most of our highest numbers of enrolled families. So the country next to Canada, of course, U.S., Canada, and then Myanmar. So we've had a good bit of contact there over the years, and some of the homeschool families have gone together and created a school led by a team, I think they're some American background, but a good many high school students. And if you need to know about the challenges of second language high school education and dealing with the credits and the changes that need to make, you can ask Edith about that. She relates regularly to these people. Speech classes going on here, I think, and a bit of traditional dress one day, some holiday there. So they provide our teacher training for their team, and work the stores in Harrisonburg. So it's a Christian Life product, but they deliver it there. Should mention this picture back here. This is a group of teachers, so it's high school, good size staff team. And then going to Kenya, of course, we Lamp of Light. And this is, I think it was what's called the Engashuta School, and it's been an attempt at a Christian school there. But to be a registered school becomes very political or very tightly tied to government, to the point that there's a lot of community children there, but not many of the church children there. And so they're losing a lot of the young people as they go to school, long school days. So it's been a talk there for a while of starting schools. And recently, Mark Webb and Aaron Erstein went over and talked with them there, trying to encourage the vision that seems to be developing. And so there's a bit of homeschooling and some families that are interested in working together in schools. But in small ways, trying to, some families getting started there. They have a print on demand agreement with Christian Life. So they're printing using Lamp of Light printers to print the curriculum that's necessary there. So that trip seemed to be an encouragement. We had classes for the children as well. If you've never heard Aaron Erstein tell stories, why you don't know what's going on there, but they're clued into him for a good reason. It's quite a storyteller. In DRC, or the Democratic Republic of Congo, a huge country in Africa, and I'm told it's as poor as Haiti. In the capital there, Kinshasa, there's a large school that has asked for input different times, and so we've made several trips there with trainers, and this is a group of teachers. There's over 300 teachers in this school and over 4,000 students. So a massive place, but these people can't afford books. They have chalkboards, and I think they have some copybooks. So the training is how to use a chalkboard well, how to bring the Bible and Christian principles into their teaching. So the teams there have focused on using the resources that they have well. Because of the number of students that they have, they run in shifts. So a group comes in the morning, a group comes in the afternoon. And they have assembly in this huge building, and they go to their classrooms. I was curious about the head coverings, but I understand that that's apparently necessary garb for the nursing program that they're also operating there. So anyway, just a large number of students. A church that, a huge church, quite a powerful pastor. Some of the administration of the church and school we have a few concerns about, but they do seem to be doing good work and we're very open to it. So some places where there's input and it's not based on curriculum or sales. This is in Grenada and providing teacher training here. And there's 3 schools, about 30 students each, and the Grenadian government requires a teacher to have a degree, apparently to be a teacher, and to be a recognized school, but they are accepting our teacher training there. I understand that they raised the gold seal on the teacher training certificate was an asset to them accepting that. But they didn't know that it was worthwhile training. So people have traveled there, and now because of some recent requirements, if teachers come from America, they can take the training before they go there. So they do something about encouragement. But this is some missionary children, but mostly native children. They're using curriculum, learning the kind of thing they should. Coming a little closer home, there's 274 schools using our curriculum in Canada. A lot of those are very large schools, deal with a lot of the Old Colony Mennonites, Russian Mennonites. And it's been an interesting group of people to work with. Interesting to support their work, and they have trainers now that are doing their own teacher training alongside trainers that have done longer, they're Christian Light employees. But I've heard the most positive reviews of Christian Light curriculum in a little place just north of the border here in Winkler, Manitoba. Sitting in John Weeks' living room, he said, Wes, Christian Light has changed our people tremendously. It's changed our school a lot. We have much better education and a lot better things are going on there. But it's changed our homes because of the teaching that's happening in our school. And it's changed our church. The environment in our church has changed. Young people come to baptism, they understand what they're getting into. They understand the way of salvation. They understand who God is at a much better level. And so with tears in his eyes, he said, this has changed who we are in a very positive way. And so hearing that, I think makes me realize that we aren't aware of the impact of Christian education on our communities. It's making a huge difference in the place and the culture. homeschools as well, Canada, scattered the coast. And interesting group that's starting to begin to use Christian Light curriculum. Hutterites, they're colonies. As we know, they have common purse or not individual ownership. And then they have, typically have had schools on the colony run by the local government. The government would provide a teacher and a school for them, and it would be free education on the colony. But then during COVID, some of them, when the school stopped and they were doing their work at home, the parents realized the kind of material that they were actually being taught, realizing the risks that are there. And so they're leaving the public school system and running their own schools using the Christian Light curriculum. So the reps there are working with them to typically a small school. Hutterite colonies aren't, they vary in size, but not usually a large school. But an interesting new group of people to work with. Then we go to Mexico, a variety of groups there. Montana Literature Ministries works with people there, distributes some of our curriculum. And it's a school serving mostly Tarahumara Indians. So a variety of curriculum being used there, some of which is Christian Light. And then the Russian Mennonites there. Home colony, Mining groups. And here the colonies are, again, quite large. And so huge schools, school systems, sometimes they're calling them scattered schools that they'll be working together across the colony. And a lot of culture, a fairly strong culture of dress and habits and all that. And just someone was there the day that they were having a year-end kind of program, and each classroom had their picture taken of all their matching clothing. Again, a very interesting group to work with and support in their use of curriculum. Some of these places are, as I mentioned, rather dark. There's old colony groups that the Mexican police have put barracks on the colony because of the lawlessness. There's just a lot of places that there's a lot of bright sunlight that they need good half for, but there's a lot of darkness there, spiritually, emotionally, so on. So some of them, a lot of those colonies would not be open enough to use a curriculum like Christian Light, but where it is, it's making a big difference. And then some groups, like the Planning Mindio or others, they will put a committee together and put a school near the colony for those parents who do see the risks, the darkness, and want another option for their children. We call them committee schools, close to the colonies, or sometimes on the colony as an alternative. So just a huge group of people that we don't tend to think about in terms of mission work, but certainly open door at this point. And then in Mexico, Centro Escolar Evangelico, translated as Evangelical School Center, does printing there of curriculum, and they've translated a good bit of our curriculum to German and to Spanish, and distribute some English as well. So some people call it the CLE of Mexico, but an interesting group of people doing the printing, the warehousing, the curriculum there, distributing it throughout Mexico and some into South America. So again, some of our curriculum has been translated, books as well, full set of the Sunday school curriculum. At one point, I'm told that there was as much children's Sunday school curriculum being distributed from CEE as from CLE, or from Christian Light. So I'm not sure what those numbers are at the moment, but a good bit of volume going through CEE. And then around the world, there's a lot of languages that our curriculum has been translated into. Spanish and Romanian, the main ones, but at present it counts as 45 different languages that books have been translated into. And then thinking about that is, again, not done by Christian Light, but by other organizations. You got a Mount Zion Literature Ministry newsletter in your mailbox today. There's pictures in there, Christian Light material. But they will, we actually do translate good bit of Spanish material. Would be one language we do have. We send books to them. And they distribute in a variety of ways. And some of the pastors' conferences, book fairs, and interesting local book mobiles, different programs that they use to send that out. And at present, there's a $70,000 order that they've placed, 10 different books. So there's that order will be discounted to below $30,000, and that's kind of the way we work with them, give them a significant free of charge in Venezuela. So some of these titles you've seen earlier: Christian Family Living, Victorious Life. Others that might be familiar with in languages in English. Okay, this wrong button again. Grace Press is another organization that we work a good bit with in Pennsylvania, Pennsylvania, and they translate a lot of different material. Their emphasis is mainly in Europe, Eastern Europe, and you notice the Stories of Jesus coloring book has been translated. It's going out in parcels, food parcels that are being distributed in Ukraine. So they actually have a printing press. It stopped at the beginning of the war. I think they're getting it set up and rolling again there in Ukraine. So that's one place, but then they do a lot of traveling, a lot of distribution of a lot of material. I think they were the ones that translated the Russian material. So an organization then, again, we would often provide manuscripts that they'd be translating, or maybe ordering books from us at times. Christian Aid Ministries is probably our biggest partner organization. We send a lot of stories to them. The story papers that we read here, not sure what percentage of those go to the Seed of Truth, the magazines there, and are translated into a lot of different languages, distributed. The most recent one with Christian Aid is Joseph said we are working with a school system or a system of Christian schools in Egypt. And this school system would like to begin to serve Sudanese refugees. And English is their language, one of the official languages of Sudan. So a lot of conflict that doesn't get much in the press. In Sudan, the students are coming to Egypt and they want to serve them. They want to start with 1,000 students, 6 to 8 year olds. And so they want to print English curriculum. So actually today I got an email from them wishing to schedule the teacher training that they need to be able to use the curriculum, and we'll get their files to them and finalize the agreement probably this week to begin that program. And where they would be working in Egypt, working through Christian Aid at this point, likely in the longer term working more directly with that school system, traveling there and connecting with them, supporting them with the use of curriculum. So that's an exciting new one. And then coming closer home, the United States, there's close to 50,000 homeschools. A lot of, over that, around the world, several thousand, where we're sending an order out at a time, homeschools, wherever they are. Again, you'll notice some English-speaking areas where you'll see more concentration of that. And then, for schools here in the United States, there are different ways we support them. Of course, we mentioned teacher training. There's a team of 10 school reps that go out and visit schools, talk to parents and teacher gatherings, or to board, sit down and help them through challenges. Or if the school is coming to our curriculum and giving them advice and coaching, helping them figure out how to place well into the curriculum. So a team of people that are a variety, some of them full-time, some part-time. And then record keeping, curriculum support, record keeping. I mentioned Christian Life Academy has that name. And that is what we're moving to here. Unique Keith here, he designed his logo recently, incorporating our logo into a seal and preparing to go live with that here in America. We're accredited by the National Association of Private Schools, and that has been a helpful thing, but they are not recognized internationally. So we're working with the Middle States Association. That's a regional accreditation. I'll spare you all the details, but it's on government registers. This organization is not government. It's on government registers as a solid accreditor, and then Romanian accreditors will look at the U.S. list, and they will say, oh, so this program is recognized in the States, so we will allow a high school graduate in our country to take that to college and be accepted on the basis of that accredited diploma. So most of the emphasis, most of the reason that we're pursuing further accreditation is for international situations. It's going to be a minimum of 2-year process. Ken Kaufman's putting good energy to that. We have a meeting coming up here in 2 weeks for them to be officialized as a candidate for accreditation, and then we'll start a self-study process. And it'll take, they tell us, 2 years to get through that. So that's hopefully for the future. And schools across the United States and Canada, a few up in Alaska. So just quite a few by a team from Harrisonburg area. They were working with refugees there in the Christian Life Order building, having weekly classes and teaching people to learn English and developing a curriculum around that. So that's been an interesting project, and now that curriculum is prepared and is ready for sale. COVID stopped the local work there for the most part. One person still involved in some English teaching. So that is a conversational, it's a spoken language kind of curriculum. And then there's been groups of people saying we need one for how to read and write when you're thinking about a second language. And so David has been in Mexico to teach English there, and these Amish ladies, that's where they've been working in Mexico again with the Old Colony people, and then a variety of other people that have dealt with that, how to teach people English as a second language. So there's a curriculum at the first levels are coming out of that. So that we envision that being available around the world. Christian Aid was just in conversation with us about adapting some of the materials to fit in with their SALT program and some refugee work in different places. So kind of exciting possibilities with the unique kind of curriculum. When we think about that whole world, again, what we wish is that the earth would be filled with the knowledge of the glory of the Lord. And people would know who the Lord is and they're giving him glory. That's why we like to see these different kinds of curriculum go out to different places. I'm not sure why they didn't. But that's the worldwide view. Coming back again to Virginia, and talking a little bit about what happens in Harrisonburg. So this is, of course, our buildings there, and it's like the view. And you're looking here at office building, L-shaped building. This is the Shank, the original Shank home that has a second story on it that I pointed out, bookstore here. And then a production building, was a production warehouse for a long time. I mentioned this warehouse was added on, and about 2 years ago we doubled that building for warehousing. So if you need to know where books are, Jeff Lycat can tell you where they are in that building. But that's the place. Couple acres there and buildings. We've been maxed out. We said we built our last building, our last warehouse building anyway. We built this because we were right against the line. And recently, an acre and a half came up right adjacent. The owner was very favorable to Christian Life and turned down some investors that really wanted to pay him a lot for the property and sold it to Christian Life, basically taxed out. So real gift that was to have a little buffer there because the kind of apartment buildings here that you see here probably would have been built up on this if it was an investor buying it. So we're glad for that. Recent purchase. Tomorrow, sometime, there's I think 130 trees are coming in for hedging and developing that property a little bit. It's kind of a park area, walking path and so on. So we've seen a bit of historical curriculum development. There's a lot of work that goes into developing curriculum. So some of the people here, Joyce and Sadie would be involved in a lot of this curriculum development. But eventually, a full social studies curriculum was written. Some of that's getting older, and we've come with newer stuff. I'm glad we're not using this anymore. I'd like to not be using this in not too many years in the future. Come with something more engaging, with the kind of printing and graphics and so on that are expected today. That's a lot of work. That book was in development for too many years. I think it was over 10 in process. And so there's a lot of work in that development. One of the things we've been taking a look at recently, and that has, I think, been a part of Christian Life's image. So that curriculum that came to market in 79 and 80, some of that, I say we should keep our tail between our legs when we say that. Some of that is still being sold on very little improvement. What's read is over 40-year-old curriculum. Of course, this is the grades and subjects here. And just to illustrate that we have a problem. We have kept up with some of the elementary curriculum, but pieces of this are out of date. So we have a goal of the next 5 years to be able to change the color of that older curriculum to update what's there. But then to maintain that curriculum and maintain it in a reasonably updated way probably takes a curriculum development team that's twice the size of this today. And so if we're going to get out of where we've been. Sanford was, he had a certain sort of thing where he got credit from others and updated it, and then we wrote our own, began to write our own. And so that was the old stuff from AOP in the 80s, and then we began to write our own in the 90s, and then the second edition, there's a lot of it, the second edition in 2000s. So that is, that's the improvement that needs to happen. But that takes a lot of work to keep everything or to get everything to a good standard, rather than some of the covers that still look like this. That's not a current cover, but there is some that looks that way. So, and not just looks, but the way of teaching so on needs to be updated. Another move that we're doing, working at the moment, is the covers, I think, have changed some over the years, but not very much. We're looking at doing a total redo of covers and playing with what images we put on the cover, that kind of thing. So, anyway, that's a project that our design team, an out-of-house freelance designer, is working at the moment. So, Sadie has helped a lot with development of our math curriculum. That was something that's been updated to Sunrise Edition for a good many years. And Sadie did a lot with the math textbook series, so 4 through 8. We now have math textbooks, and Sadie was a primary writer on that. So a lot of work has happened there. And then in high school math, we have Algebra 1, now Algebra 2 out in a preliminary edition. There's a lot of work to write quality high school math curriculum. So a lot more work to be done there. And Sadie is now going back to the first levels of the light unit, math light units, and with a team revising that. And as we come to the up through the grades to the textbook, they will probably be updated as well. They'll be matched where the light unit can be used alongside the textbook. If say a student is can't manage the copy that's required for the textbook, they can just use the light unit. So further development, good bit of development needed there in the math subject. Just a few things about pedagogy or the science of learning, something that we're trying to do the best we know or learn all we can. We have a very system of teaching that's very based on review. So we're fine-tuning that, making sure that that's not more review than necessary. First grade here, kindergarten, first grade, we're using a phonemic awareness program alongside Christian Light here at our school. And we want to add those components, that component, into the Learning to Read curriculum. So Joyce will be working with a team there in revising our Learning to Read program over the next couple of years, and just getting literacy levels in general. Our spelling exercises, we know, are weak in some ways. And so the link between spelling and phonics, the link between lower grades, and the link between spelling and like foreign roots, where we get our words, that helps in spelling. And so we need to strengthen that years ahead. There's a lot of other improvements that we're working at, trying to get input from different people, and working at what we can to improve the curriculum, and not just the look and feel of it, but the actual structural and instruction kind of quality. Science is a subject that's lagged a good bit. Mennonites don't tend to be the best scientists, so we haven't updated a lot of that. This is a current cover. Current book that's over 40 years old. So we are working this up, and you'll see some books in the back. Science 4 is the first of a full-color science textbook with light units alongside. So that is the first of our new light unit covers that will come out. See that product in the back. And then thinking about what happens, just basically at Christian Light, what is some of the activity? So we think about this committee, that was for the ESL larger committee, but a lot of committee people working together to spec out the course and then to edit it. It's often a committee that edits it very carefully. And a lot of different kinds of collaboration in design and typesetting, work between the developers and the people that are setting the type, and then the typesetters and the production people. And a lot of different working together of different kinds. And of course that editing, when the committee has edited, has marked up the copy. There's some marked up copies in the back if you want to see what that looks like. But when that's been edited, then there's people sitting in going through in detail. You'll see people going through math and other curriculum here. I think Joyce is the one who's working with the Bible. Before she goes to as a next literacy program. Proofreading. So before a book is printed, people read through it. A team like this reads through it, punctuation and everything, make sure we catch all the details. And we never pass it on. There's always mistakes in every book. I thought that was strange when I first came to Christian Life, but found out that other curriculum coach see one of the challenges. So we recently found a mistake in a 1970s CAT test, California team test. So anyway, other publishers have a name. But typesetting, there's a lot of work in getting the typeset on every book. And drawing, some of it's going digital, but a lot of still of painting and pencil art. You'll soon be seeing full color story papers coming through out of watercolor. Academic counseling, Edith has talked a lot of schools, families, and other parts of the team there. Ruby is here tonight. She's part of that team. So, happy for those people that are supporting those customers. And then bookstore, Karen Sauer spends the time there. This picture here, taking care of the bookstore. So, we don't sell a very high percentage of our stuff through the bookstore, but it's a public face of the organization. And then we have great people to manage teams and deal with details and solve problems, like Ken does in fulfillment. Later, a few words about we'd like to have someone else move into that role so we can work more directly with publications. Well gifted for that. Having criticism for that, by the way. So, printing is a lot. If you come to Christian Life, and by the way, you're very welcome to come. This is a web press, so you see the length of this machine. It's our biggest machine that we have there, and it's printing paper off the roll, and paper is sailing through that at about just under 20 miles an hour. So it's slightly different than Gutenberg's or extra scanner processes, but volume coming off those presses for light units, 5 miles in a roll of paper. Over time, a lot of miles of paper, and then when it's printed, it needs to be cut apart and cut into the smaller sections. Here, Mary Catherine is cutting tracts apart, I think. They're printed on larger sheets. And your picture is fixing the collating machine. So after it's printed, it needs to be collated and bound. Well, on an average day at Christian Life, we'll be printing about 10,000 light units. The machine is cranked up somewhere over 2,000 light units an hour. So, and then about 44 miles of paper is going through the presses on a day's time. Again, that's average. But from New York to San Francisco, back and forth 3.5 times is about a year's worth of paper. So, a good few trees there. And when it's been printed, Jeff puts it away. Puts it in the warehouse. How many levels he's up there? 5 levels, or is it 6 levels up. He's up and down. So, anyway, he puts the stuff away, and then part of the team that restocks the picking shelves when the orders are prepared. The orders, when they're coming in on the website, we'll have managed by people there. Is here tonight. I'm glad to have a team. Lots of other people there. About 10 people taking orders. And then picking the order. So you can see a screen here. The order comes up on the screen. And Darla has a little scanner on her finger. It's kind of a ring scanner, which scans the items into those red totes. And then it goes to be packed. And marks packed in a small box there. The totes is in there. So the box is packed. It goes down the line. And then Dane or some others will be weighing them and doing the rate shopping mechanism online, and then prints the label, stock in the box, usually by UPS, FedEx, or USPS. So, except for international, the other forwarders that we use, the UPS and FedEx truck over there. Then go through the process, picking shelves here, and the packing stations here, and Jameson is in here most days, and then come down these lines. Or shipping them and then putting them in pallets prepared for meals. There's few over 100 people employed at Christian Life. There's in this picture from more than a year ago, I think. But a team of a variety of people, a variety of skills, and I think a good group to work with. They're from a variety of places, and I think we see from this church, I think we tend to see Christian Life as a southeastern organization. It's not tied to the Southeastern Church at all. There are quite a few people there from that church. I think the next group, I don't have all these ordered in what I think is the most. I didn't do any statistical anything here, but Reach People, a good few of those there. Weaverland, BMA, grades that hasn't been working yet. We need a lot of oversight of different computer systems. So we're wishing for IT technicians. And then, as I mentioned, Ken is filling in actually right now, supervising the order department, doing a great job of that. And we have other things that we wish he would be able to do. So we love an order department supervisor, somebody that's technically and ready to lead the team. So there is a team of 10 people, and we've said if it's a man, he should have had a lot of sisters growing up. So anyway, someone that's ready to lead the team there, we have to talk to. So hero to organize a support team there, and then Ruby and Edith are here. They're 2 of 5 people that are in education support that team, and we need more people there. They have Ruby, how many families are assigned to you? 150. So she has regular contact with 150 families. That's a pretty heavy load to manage all the records and get the management system and all that. So we need another person there. Hopefully someone's had some education experience. So as I say this, I'm not, hey, there's someone here that wants to join the team, but if we have someone that you can think of on the line, be happy to run any because I feel like some of these roles we've been looking for a while. Being understaffed isn't much fun. Some days are a bit stressed because of the workload. And then production workers. A lot of people can come and spin spirals on a book or catch books coming off a collator, but we need people that can fix machines, that can diagnose problems in machinery that are mechanically minded. So someone that would be interested in that kind of work would be very happy to talk to. And then curriculum development, I said the team needs to develop, so we'd be happy to talk to people that have an interest in curriculum, that care about it. Maybe they're frustrated with workers like increases, and they want to see something better. So anyway, we'd be happy to talk to someone with teaching experience. So that's the end of the slides. And just a few notes for the evening. I mentioned that the books in the back, and there's some freebies there, calendars, catalogs, pens, and stuff. Feel free to pick those up. But then the left side of the table, as you go back there, there's a category of children's books, a category of adult books, and feel free per household to pick one each in those categories up. Just take it home tonight. So you'll have that to read over the next little while. And just in general, again, the emphasis here is that we would point to the work that God is doing. What's the for education at Christian Life? And say this is making a lot of difference. For John Weed, there in Manitoba, it's making a huge difference in his church. The choices that we have in curriculum today are many. And so, we keep going with other publishers here at our school. We do. That's good. I'm happy about that. I'm happy for a mix of that. Being in the school board, I make sure that I'm not Christian Life rep for that. But I'm happy for the work that Christian Life does. But I'm concerned about the quality of the product that we put out. And like I said, this slide was developed. There's a lot of things that are developed. And just an organization that needs a good bit of work. So the person is good at maintenance, or the person is good at developing, or they're just a good businessman. I'm happy to bring them on and help the organization grow, develop to what it should be. I think that's all I have. Is there any questions? Anything that you want to say? Or maybe some of you that work there say, well, hey, you forgot to say.
One thing I noticed about, there were actually 2 social studies books produced before we went into the lifetime program. Putting together God's World Story was the second one, and that one was being used by a lot of private schools.
One of those books is replaced, but that's true. We had 2 social studies books. There's a reason that social studies was taken as a serious one at the beginning. Thanks, Crystal. Crystal is Sanford's daughter. She's still there doing bookkeeping and faithfully keeping the books in Christian Life. Anything else?
I think it was about 40 years ago, the Christian Life was at Crossroads. So they called the meeting representatives of all the churches in the center of the island, and they got together, they asked council, to shut down, or keep their schools to them. The council wrote the schools to them.
And so, one of the things that was happening at that point was there was a heavy dependence on donations. So it was a young organization that had a sale. Over the years, the sale built to where that wasn't as crucial. Last year we sold $13 million worth of books. And so there's most of those at a profit. And so we can pay our bills. And we have been able to pay our bills, at least unless you're doing development costs. If you're building buildings or that kind of thing, it starts to become a different story. But the organization did that. They ran their own profits cap, even though it's a non-profit, just kept those in the organization. And then I think here, what we're saying is we do need the support of churches. That's stepped away because when churches are engaged. So this is an attempt to just be able to, hopefully, the next little while, slideshow, be able to talk to more churches and connect with what's happening, what the Lord is doing there. I'm glad that it's happening for